So yeah, they've actually have now updated the newest patch. We have patch 1.11. They've introduced some nerfs to Clive's kit. They also introduced some slight behavior changes and bug fixes for Heihachi. But specifically what they went for is to nerf Clive specifically. Now, what specifically did they nerf to Clive's movesets? Well, the most broken move in the game, arguably, his 4-1+2. This move now is -12. So you can punish it accordingly with your 1-1-2 if you're playing double gen or any character with a 10 frame jab, or you can go for your 12 frame punish as well. The tracking though for the first hit is still the same. You can't really step it or sidewalk it the way you want to. See, you can't escape it. So they still kept that. But they also made it so that if the first hit were to whiff, the second hit is a lot more manageable to actually sidewalk or sidestep. You can step it to both sides or sidewalk it to both sides if you want. Before though, it was still manageable to do it. You were still capable of actually stepping or sidewalking the last hit of the move if the first hit were to whiff. The issue was that the opening to actually step was too tight because it still had a little bit of tracking. So if you weren't perfect at actually stepping the move on time, then you'll still get hit by the second hit. But now, it's a lot more manageable. So even if you're slightly late in stepping, you could probably step the move. See, that was the latest of me stepping it, and I've managed to escape it. Now, what that means specifically when it comes to 4-1+2 is that it can't be spammed, right? You can't spam 4-1+2 whenever you want and be -8. That's a bit too strong for what it was. A heat engager that was a mid, that was safe on block, too strong. Now they made it punishable at -12. And the second hit, once if the first hit were to whiff, is easier to step or sidewalk. So what this means also is that 4-1+2 can only really be used as a form of whiff punish. That's how I'm currently seeing it. Think of it like if you're playing Kazuya or any of the Mishimas or any character really that has a really good whiff punish type of move that they can use against the target. That's not a move to be used at front at the target, but to be used when they attempt to use a move and they whiff it and you go for that move specifically. That's how 4-1+2 is going to be used now, I'm going to assume. Now, in the case of his back 1+2, his Power Crush, they made it so that it's, well, I guess in this case, they made it so it's -14 at range as well, which was already kind of -14 at range. I guess there was some problems with the actual frame advantage numbers at range when using back 1+2, so I'll say something else. So now it's adequately at -14, which to be honest is not really that big of a deal. In the case of certain moves like this, yes, you could try to punish them accordingly if you have a 14 frame punish that you can hit from that range. But let's say if you're a little further away. See, you'll still end up whiffing the move. So even if it's still -14, this only means that if you have a character that you tend to main that has a 14 frame move they can use that would hit at that range, then yes, that essentially is a nerf to back 1+2. But for certain characters, they may not manage to reach that particular move once it's blocked. They've also made it so that when you attempt to hit Clive when using his back 1+2 Power Crush, that once it starts to hit you 3 times, it does less damage. So now instead, before, it used to do 7-7 and then 25 damage, right? Now it does 7-7 to 20 damage. So the first 2 hits are 7 damage, and then the last hit does 20 now. They've also inherently buffed his Heat Smash as well. If he goes into Heat Smash and he then does his against you, right, and you block it, it has more push block. So this makes it easier for Clive to then use his neutral moves against you and then dominate from that particular position. Also for Clive's back 3, his parry, they've actually slowed the recovery phase of the parry move. So when used, it's now 5 frames slower when trying to go for the back 3. You see, you can't really spam it as quickly as it used to be. And that's really it, to be honest. There really isn't anything else specific that they've done to Clive. They haven't really touched on moves like, let's say, his down back 4, his down back 4, yeah, it's -18 on block, but it doesn't have a stagger effect like other moves like it. So I feel that they should make it a lot less minus block, if that makes sense the way I said it, or make it more minus. I think that's what I should have said. So it has a stagger effect as well, so that way you can then go for your launch punish against Clive's down back 4 if blocked. I also feel that in this move here specifically, this move is quite strong for what it is. Yes, it's -8 on block, and it's safe on block, that is. And you can't really like spam it to go for the secondary follow-up that it comes to, but the fact that it's quite safe for what it is, I feel like it's a little too strong for what it can do, especially if you follow it up on the last attack once it does connect. Even if it is a high and you can duck it. And then of course his down 1+2, his down 1+2 has a lot of push block for what it does for -6 on block. They should probably reduce the overall push block of this move to then make it a little bit more, tolerable when being used against you. Besides that, I really don't see anything else that they could do to fix him or to try to like make him a lot more balanced in the game. I feel like with the nerf that they've done to 1+2 is already a really good nerf, because that was really the biggest move in the game that really hindered the progress of individuals wanting to take over the neutral or try to get close enough to Clive. Though there is one last move actually that I forgot about. 1+2, his Demon's Breath version, right, is still -9 on block, which is weird to me because I don't understand why this move that is similar to a Demon's Breath, yes, it's 1 frame slower than a Demon's Breath, but this thing hits from pretty far away for a Demon's Breath version of the move. So for it to be safe and can be spammed at this range, at 2.5 range, that's the furthest I can probably put him at, and it still lands, and it's -9. No, I think they should at least make this at least -10 or -12, but -12 would probably be too much, so -10 at the least. And that's about all, really. They don't really need to touch on any of his other moves, to be honest, like his back 2 or his Phoenix stance. They don't need to touch on anything of those sorts. I think that he's fine, besides, the moves I just mentioned that needs to be toned down a little bit. So yeah, that's about all. That's basically what I'm trying to showcase with Clive's new changes. Great changes overall, though I still feel that they need to touch on some other things. So besides that, if you like what they've done to Clive, I mean, maybe now you guys won't have to, worry as much when you come across a Clive and they spam 1+2, because now they will likely not use it as often, unless they see that you whipped something, and then they'll try to punish you with 1+2. So, if you guys liked the video, or if you didn't, you can dislike the video if you wanted to. Subscribe to see more of my shit, and yeah, stay tuned, stay safe.
Salute to all my fallen soldiers. I reminisce of a time gone.